I was looking for a poem I wrote. I do not have the first page or the fourth page. It's 5 pages long. So I don't even know if I'm going to read the 5th page because that's the ending, but I don't have the page before the ending. So we'll see about that. I found a paper that I wrote for class. I want to share that. I can find the first page of it. That would be nice. The title of this paper is called Eclectic Freelancing, Freelance Writing with No Boundaries. As you can tell, I love to write. I love to write. So I'm curious, and I just want to share the information. This is the way I help people, I feel, is through my writings. Some people help people with their music. So some people can sing very well. All praises to them. Some people can rap very well. All praises to them. Some people can, like with their poetry, they read very eloquently, or you just get their vibe when they're reading. I can write, but the reading part, I need to work on that. In this style, the different styles that poets read, I'm more so of a writer than a speaker. So I love to write. I love to learn too. Okay, let's see. I'll read this. Okay. This is the abstract. I think it's very short. The best career paths are ones that accentuate an individual's true essence and creates a state of bliss for that person. Since I do go all over the place when it comes to knowledge and wanting to understand different subjects and issues, I feel that freelance writing would be the best path for me to go into. That way I do not fit into a box with my eclectic styles of writing and wide range interests and the treasures this life has to offer. It is our genetics, our environment, and what we intake in our body systems that shape us into who we are and how we perform in life. Okay. After reevaluating my strengths and inner desires and going through the process of learning why I am the way I am, I finally see so clear that the perfect career choice for me will be that as a writer. I am so inquisitive of so many issues and like doing research on a wide range of subjects. I do thrive to learn, would love to spread that knowledge to any and everyone. I do thrive to learn and would love to spread that knowledge to any and everyone wanting to receive it. I want to first go into my feelings of writing. Then I will speak of Miss Rihanna Ross, the program manager at the Writers Place, in which they have readings, open mic, and group sessions for writers of all genres and levels. Since I do believe that what we eat and our environments play a role in how we process information, I will touch on the concept of each as it pertains to our brain functions. Finally, I will end with statistics made 20 years ago and the result now. For people shall dwell in Zion and Jerusalem. For the people shall dwell in Zion and Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto thee. The voice of thy cry, when he shall hear it, he will answer thee. And though the Lord give thee the bread of adversity, the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, This is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verses 19 through 21. Within the depthness of my soul, I am at best when I can write. But unlike what so many think or know, writing is an art. Yes, anyone can learn to write, but not everyone can change the mood, bring out emotion, question the status quo, divert one's attention, and make reading essential to the liveliness of one's being. I understand now writing is a craft when looked at as an art that needs to be nourished. It is written, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children. Hosea 4 and 6. Lack of knowledge truly does cause rejection. We are living in a society of corporate entities that expect and require employees to have a certain amount of knowledge in order to be a part of the union of their marriage, or just a mere beneficiary whose employment can be terminated reclusively without warning or one's knowledge regardless of services rendered. Reading, observation, education, formal and or informal, critiques and affirmation all nourish the craft of writing. Everyone cannot provide nourishment. Due to the passive and self-sabotaging choices I made because of thoughts of apprehension, not knowing the outcome of pursuing what I desire, nourishment discontinued its nectar for me. This is true. I have lost my speech and verity and vocabulary due to feeding grounds I have omitted for quite some time. Grazing in fields not green depletes of chlorophyll energy that we get from the sun, not showing that beautiful light, which is the definition of my name, full of healing, and without it there is no life, period, for all living organisms on this earth. Writing with purpose, for purpose, on purpose, for all of us to discover our purpose. Writing what no one wants to or knows how to, and explaining complex theories and reasonings for people at different levels of intellect is my servitude. Bound in chains of curiosity, wonder, and unknown forces, applying pressure when I neglect the quest for consciousness and not transcribe, am I. I feel as if I am the product of nature versus nurture. Nurture plays a role on my abilities to survive in a career I have always desired, and nature has encrypted its within my genes. My DNA can be seen through the skills of my progenitors. I will start with my mother. She is an analytic and observant woman brought up in the culture of Catholicism. I grew up with her constantly correcting my grammar and manner of how one is to speak, what is proper and what is not. Her diction is the reflection of her private school education. She is conservative, yet open to reasoning with sound judgment. My father is a supernova of portraits and ancient symbols, telling stories and hidden messages on the canvases he paints, driven by the art of life in search for clues for the true essence our ancestors left behind. The Bible being the foundation of his upbringing and wisdom, though totally different from that of my mother's intake of the same. I am that knot entwined of those two souls. The writer I met that loves what she does is Rihanna Ross. Unexpected and not prepared for who and what reason someone came by to knock on the door, she politely opened the door and welcomed me into the writer's place. As she gave me a tour of the establishment, giving a brief history of the home. It was said that a younger woman married to an older man asked her husband to build her a castle for a home that still stands 100 years later. For a while, no one knew what became of the couple until it was later discovered they moved across the street. Later, the home was turned into a brothel. Those that were drunken proclaimed that the madam haunted the house. From a brothel to a Protestant church the house became. 20 plus years ago, the house became home to the writer's place. Miss Rihanna is a poet and journalist, a woman of prolific duties in the wonderful world of writing and communication. Daily lives her life as a teacher and student. She said that we can never stop learning. She delights and looks forward to working with people that have the same enthusiasm for writing as she does. Her body language when she spoke to me about writing was in union with her speech. I could see she truly loves her profession. She is comfortable and mindful of her inner guide. She is graceful and refreshing to speak to. Miss Rihanna gave me the encouragement to dive deeper in my interest with writing. She told me that the education in English and writing is about learning the mechanics, different forms of writing, how to write stories, telling stories, and annotating. It is also to find one's voice and enhance one's skills. So as you can see, I'm looking for my voice, and I'm definitely trying to enhance my skills. Writing is a form of communication that can be relayed from person to person without the physical appearance of the parties being together at the same time. This form of communication allows the recipient to receive information at a time that is convenient to that person. When people write, it helps in concentration because one can speak faster than they can write, and you have to use more brain power to stay focused when writing. Neurologist Judy Willis states, writing supports the development of higher process thinking. And I wrote the website in my paper. For me, as an individual, I do enjoy learning and understanding previous ideas, concepts, reasonings, and knowledge on another more in-depth level when my interest is especially attracted towards a certain matter. Through writing, one can create their own world, relay information of the present, document history, relieve stress, give energy to arouse targeted emotions, In order to write the thoughts of what is on one's minds, there needs to be nourishment for the individual that is writing. This nourishment comes in many forms. However, I will make mention of two forms. Let's see the two I wrote there. The nourishment that we receive through the foods we eat are not only vital to our health, it is integral for the performance of how the brain functions and transmits signals to the body, as well as cognitive processing. Minerals that we intake are crucial to cognitive relays of information along with the vitamins that we intake. Vitamin C in particular is needed for the development of neurotransmitters, which is vital for the transmission of signals from one neuron to the next neuron. And I got that from a nutrition book. From personal experience, I know that iron is needed for cognitive process because I have anemia due to iron deficiency. When I don't have enough iron in my system, my thoughts are not cohesive. The second form of nourishment I want to mention is that of positive reinforcement and being in an environment that is positive and not negative, unbalanced, nor chaotic. Positive stimuli and the use of writing, along with multiple sensory intake, activates neural networks communicating one with another, forming bonds that have a strong connection to establishing and maintaining long-term memory. That's the website for what I summarized. The parts of the brain that are stimulated by writing are the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. Our backgrounds place a factor in literacy. Over 20 years ago, a survey was conducted by the National Adult Literacy Survey, and it found that in the lowest level of literacy in the United States, that 62% of these adults never completed high school. The same study found that in the highest levels of literacy, levels 4 and 5, that a range of 34 to 40 million Americans were at a higher process of literacy. It is suggested that higher levels correlated with being employed, working more weeks, and having higher wages. This survey was conducted in 12 states and taken from a sample of 26,000 adults. Fast forwarding 20 years later, the Center of International Education Benchmarking developed a statistics chart for Outlook of 2013. The percentage of Americans that fell in literacy rates were about 15 to 20% of the population. This is the conclusion. For she, wisdom, is the brightness of the everlasting lights, the unspotted mirror of the power of God, and the image of his goodness. Wisdom of Solomon 7:26. God gave us these talents. We are supposed to use them. Rihanna Ross said that. This is the reason I want to be a freelance writer. The more literate we become, the more options we have and resources we have access to. For the lack of knowledge will not prevail. Just as our children need teachers, our peers need teachers as well. I do not, nor will I, fall into the category of the forgotten children that have rejected knowledge and therefore have destroyed myself, because I have cast away the law. Our teachers are the lights in our lives that bring us out our own unique sparkle. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Leviticus 19:18. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Proverbs 6:23. Okay. This video is already long. Some of the poem on another video. But I like to write. And as you can see, when I'm writing, if I feel like I'm going to put a scripture in there, I'm going to put a scripture in there. Regardless of who it's for. And I did that for school, and she didn't have a problem with my professor. She had her doctorate degree in English, and she liked my paper. It's okay. So she encouraged me to carry on with my writing. So that's what I'm going to do, because I want to do that. Shalom. Talk to see y'all in a second. And I'll just keep recording all these videos today. Barakatah Yasharala.